Heaven's Brethren is a set that is pretty much always forgotten about, so much so that they even forgot to include its changes in the 2.4 patch notes, despite it actually even having its partial set bonuses changed, with one being removed. This on top of it actually getting some noteworthy mods added, so the fun fact is, you'll notice it has yet to be updated on any of the normal websites for Diablo 2 information. Now, is it enough to make this set desirable, in spite of its level 81 requirement to complete? That depends on your perspective, but considering the slots it takes up, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe not, but the changes definitely make it a little more appealing than it used to be. Starting out, let's get in on those global modifiers since that's where all the changes happened. It still maintains the plus skills, resists, and cannot be frozen from its original setup, but it slips in a little extra replenish life, life leech, fire damage, and even 24% damage reduction, with the life leech being available at 2 parts equipped and the fire damage and replenish life showing up at 3 parts. Considering the slots it takes up for these bonuses and the associated level requirements, this is a move in the right direction, but it could use a little more of a push. Moving into the individual parts, let's get to where that level 81 requirement comes in, and that's Taebaek's Glory. Holding both a high level requirement and a pretty nasty strength requirement as well to equip, it's not too great in that regard. And as far as its base mods, it's indestructible, which is fine but not super important on a shield, but it also has a decent chunk of mana and lightning resist as well as a boost to blocking that definitely does come in handy if you're going for a max block build. It also packs a little bit of retaliatory damage, but not enough to become super important later on. Moving up, we have another elite item in this set, albeit one with a thankfully lower strength and level requirement, and that's Ondal's Almighty, the unique Spired Helm that looks like a rather impressive crown. It comes in pretty nicely with plus strength and dexterity, as well as hit recovery speed and a chance to cast Weaken on striking, which can be handy for some circumstances, despite not being as general use as curses like Decrepify. I would say this could be a good budget helm, but there's a better budget helm that's lower level requirement and far easier to find that kind of beats it out for any build that would need this helmet. The third elite part of the set, yeah, this is 3 elites and 1 exceptional, just like Griswold's, is Dangun's Teaching, the reinforced Mace. A little bit steep on the requirements for what it is, but it is your standard scaling max damage weapon with good attack speed boosts, and that's just like your general set weapon go-to for a lot of sets for some reason. Though it does pack a bit of fire damage and Frost Nova on striking that can be somewhat nice, but it's just not punchy enough to compete with much easier to find and wield weapon choices. Though if you're going to use the shield, you'll have more than enough stats to wield this lollipop of a club. Lastly, we have the armor, the only non-elite part of the set, Heimosu's Adamant, which is pretty much just a light armor with lowered strength requirements, some plus defense bumps which are good enough but still flat values, and an okay bump to life at 75 flat life, so it does benefit from stuff like battle orders. As far as whether you should upgrade this armor, that's a bit more debatable, since personally it's not worth the rune cost, though it could push you a bit on defense, kind of closer to 1,000, and you would still have the strength to fully equip the set, even with the upgrade, since the great hauberks are relatively light. Overall, my opinion of this set is still that it does not quite carry its weight, especially whenever the 3 major classes that would use it, the Druid, the Paladin, and the Barbarian, all have way better options by the time you can equip this. And while those items are more sought after, they're also more commonly kept for the same reason, while most people ditch Heaven's Brethren without even checking it, which, oddly enough, is why there's only a couple mentions of these changes online and none of them on the major item websites. So what else should they do to Heaven's Brethren to make it more useful, or do you have a build idea that you'd like to try with the changes? Mention it down below, and a special thanks to all the regular viewers, active patrons, channel members, and even Twitch subs that help keep the channel afloat.